Oh boy, I'm Basil, and I'm going to the Guiding Lands with you. You're gonna love hunting me here. It's so much fun. Let's go play in the Guiding Lands forever.
No Guiding Lands for you, Bazelgeuse.
Why?
I'm going to make sure you never, ever get to be hunted here.
I just want to be part of the Guiding Lands, don't you can't say?
None
Please.
for you, Basil.
I'm just Basil.
I'm ruining a gigante, and I ruined your day!
Hello my fellow hunters, we have been at Iceborne Endgame for a little bit now, and we've got right proper stuck deep into the grinding lands. And my question to you then is, how are you finding it? And that's a very broad question, because the Grinding Lands is very different to, well, everyone, depending on how seriously you take the game. For some, it's just a nice, fun, casual place to keep hunting, and come what monster may, you have a grand old day as you attempt to slay. For others, it's kind of a nightmare of, I need specifically this monster tempered in this zone, and I need it to spawn, so what's the best way to go about doing that? Alright, if I can chain drop a monster with 3 other people, that will speed up my leveling as fast as possible, and then I can keep cycling through all of the various investigations in order to reshuffle it, and then it will finally arrive, and then and you know how it is. So there's a lot of facets to discuss here, and whether it is a success is up for debate. I personally, on the whole, love it. I think it's a much more satisfying endgame than just spamming tempered investigations, and I think it's one of the most satisfying Monster Hunter endgames literally ever. I have incredibly fond memories of Everwood Guild Quest farming, and this to me is pretty much just a better version of it. So overall, am I happy with the Guiding Lands?
Yes.
Is there, however, a big issue with them that kind of really irks me, just sits stewing in the back of my mind at all times?
Yes.
And look, this issue is not a how it actually works on a mechanical level, because again, whether the actual functionality of it is an issue depends entirely on how you treat it. Generally, the more hardcore-y, try-hardy, min-maxy you take the game, the more flaws the Guiding Land presents. For example, I really don't like that there is a level cap of 18 across all 4 zones. I think changing your levels feels really random and arbitrary. You lose way too much, gain way too little. Finding the balance and getting what you want is really annoying. I feel like you should be able to get everything up to level 7, and then at that point it goes, congratulations, Guiding Lands, you did it! And then you can go to the handler and then just set the regions to what you want and aim to farm what you want. The fact of the matter is, whether we air quotes should do this or not, the point that most of us are spending time hopping from investigation to investigation to investigation to refresh the Guiding Lands to actually get the monster that you want. And yes, you are supposed to just fight and analyze tracks until it randomly spawns in, or you can summon it. But if a way a game is designed encourages people to do such unfun and non-interactive methods as refreshing investigations, because that is just the optimum route to what you want, then that's not a problem on player behavior, that's a problem on what your design is encouraging, or how friendly it is to actually achieve what the player wants. So it's an interesting little conundrum. For me personally, I have wanted Tempered Acidic Glavenus to finish my Handicraft Charm, and, well, my Rotted was level 1. So what do? Spend a billion hours slowly grinding it to level 6, even with the cheese methods, it still takes a long time. Try and find someone I know who has Rotted 6 and get them to refresh it repeatedly for me until it spawns, or spend 9 years killing stuff until it randomly spawns, or spend 9 years randomly joining random people's SOS with a Rotted Veil 6 or above, which even finding them is rare, until one happens to spawn. It might just be a me thing, but it feels way too intrinsically just, targeting a specific monster and actually doing it. And to me, Monster Hunter, where you can't just go, I want to fight this monster for this thing, and then go do it, is well, I think there is some fundamental problems with that. But either way, overall, I do love the Guiding Lands. I think it's probably my favourite map, full stop. It is gorgeous, and most of the systems at play here are amazing, and it's a satisfying endgame, especially compared to previous endgames. If this does get improved upon, if this is iterated in future Monster Hunters, we're going to have something really special. I realise I just spent 4 minutes talking about something that I wasn't even planning to talk about in this video, but for me, the main big problem of the Guiding Lands is the fact that it eliminates a few absolutely fantastic monsters from essentially just being a part of Monster Hunter Iceborne's endgame. And this is bonkers to me. This is so sad. This just feels criminal. Why is the endgame of Iceborne completely without Bazelgeuse, Shrieking Legiana, Barioth, Brachydios, Viper Toby Kadachi, and Seething Basil? That is an impressive lineup of monsters, except for maybe Bazelgeuse. And they're just not part of the Guiding Lands because they're exclusive to the Hoarfrost Reach and the Elder's Recess. Why would they choose that? And yes, obviously the initial answer is of course they didn't have the resources or the time to make the Guiding Lands include both a Hoarfrost section and an Elder's Recess section, and then add all these extra monsters, their extra part drops, spread them through all the upgrades, and so on and so forth. And yes, that is fair enough. That is totally fair enough. But the thing is, why not just shove these monsters in anyway? And again, I know what you might be thinking. Well, something like Shrieking Legiana, you can't just put that in. It's intrinsically a Hoarfrost Reach monster. It needs ice. Velkhana can appear in literally all 4 zones. You can have a Rotten Vale Velkhana. So don't try and tell me that a Shrieking Legiana in the forest, where normal Legiana are apparently okay, as we saw, or in the Coral Highlands, where of course normal ones live anyway, wouldn't be fine. Shrieking would do fine in the Coral section. Barioth, again, if Velkhana can be any of the 4, you can shove Barioth in the Coral section. Viper Toby Kadachi could totally be in the forest. Seething Bazel's an invader, he could go everywhere. Brachydios has been known to be in deserts, he's been in the Everwood with, you know, trees, he could totally show up. It might just be me, this might be such a tiny thing to complain about, this might be something not many of you have even really given thought to, but the fact of the matter is, to me, having the Guiding Lands, and thus the endgame of Iceborne, and no, I don't count farming tempered investigations, that's just what it is. The endgame is the Guiding Lands. Having that not include Shrieking Leggy, Barioth, Brachydios, Viper Toby Kadachi, and Seething Basil is just... why? I mean, for me, Brachydios is my favourite monster, and he just feels marginalised. He's just not going to show up at any point ever, and I really don't like it. And yes, this video is essentially existing so I can complain that Brachydios is not in the Guiding Lands, but I think that is still valid, okay? Basil is the best example. He's literally in the fucking introductory cutscene. Yes, it's a normal Basil, not Seething, but still, he is in the cutscene. Yet he doesn't show up in the Guiding Lands. Why do these monsters that are so well done, so fantastic, just not get to be a part of Endgame? It really upsets me, it really does, and that, to me, is the biggest flaw of the Guiding Lands. I would love if in the future it does get expanded. There are a few suspicious looking areas on the Guiding Lands. I would love the Hoarfrost and the Elder's Recess to be represented. Even if they only got a couple zones each, I would like them to be next to each other and have a zone that is half ice, half fire, where the frost and flame is pushing backwards and forwards for control of the zone. I feel like that would be such a neat little way to represent these opposite warring elements, and then when you had creatures that spawned in both, you could really have this fire and ice battle going on that would be a lot of satisfying fun. But inherently, the TLDR here is if we take out the mechanics of the Guiding Lands and however you feel about them, I really just want to see the likes of Barioth and Seething Bazelgeuse actually appear in them. This might be small, there's still plenty of monsters that do, and hell, you can even take in the base world monsters. No, Uragan and Levisioth, not that we want Levisioth, but you know what I'm saying, actually popping up into the Guiding Lands. It kind of feels like arbitrarily these monsters have just been selected to be forgotten, at least for the most part, especially something like Viper Toby Kadachi, because you do him once in the story. He is a tier 1 investigation, you don't really farm those, tier 2 is the minimum, so he really is just, I guess, bye Viper! And I think that's always a shame when fascinating, fantastically designed monsters that people love just don't have a reason to be. Hell, you see Great Jagras every now and then, and you still kill it for some ranking up in the Guiding Lands, so even the lowest tiers do get a bit of actual face time because of the system, and that's really cool. So Viper would get some fun if he was just there, and there is environments you could shove every single one in, and it would make absolutely fine sense. If fucking Banbaro can go to the Elder's Recess and Rotten Vale for some God knows reason, then you can put Shrieking, Barioth, Barioth, Viper, and Seething in the bloody Guiding Lands. So that's just my little rant, alright, for the day. I want those monsters to be there, and it really upsets me that they're not. Other than that, overall, I do love the Guiding Lands. I really, really do. There's a lot more positives than negatives, and I'm so happy that they're playing with this system, and I think the future of Monster Hunter is bright, and really, obviously, I adore the game. I have put more hours in than I will care to admit. Let me know what your thoughts are on all of this. Like if you've enjoyed it, subscribe for more, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.